Fred Vint is with Avid. He is a graduate of the University of Oklahoma School of Journalism with a bachelor's in radio, TV, film production. Fred started his career in radio at various Oklahoma City radio stations as an on-air personality, a news intern during college. He transitioned to video production his senior year and began working in sports video acquisition for local sports teams. He was the sports video coordinator for OU Athletics Department and ran that office for 4 years. Fred's worked for Avid Sports, now XOS Digital, MCSI, and Front Porch Digital during his career. He currently resides in Oklahoma City and covers the Southwest Territory for Avid. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Vint.
I'm going to start things off with a video presentation here.
Technology has taken us to a certain point on its own. Avid specifically are working to empower us to do things we've never done before.
Pretty cool industry that we all work in, wouldn't you say? And if you look at, thank you, if you look at what went into that video, not only just to put that particular video together, there's a lot of collaboration that had to go into that, right? Not only within our little group marketing team to put it together and working with the studios and getting the interviews, but you go beyond that and you look at the original content that was taken from the studios and put in there. A lot of people's work, much like yourselves, went into that. And I think that sort of collaboration going forward is what Avid is all about. And that's what you all, as participators in this industry, have to be open to as well. So all the camera manufacturers and codecs and all that stuff that we've been talking about and listening to all morning and all afternoon went into making that video, right? Something had to be able to work with the different camera manufacturers and the different graphics people, and then putting it all together is really what makes the end result make you want to stand up and cheer at the end of a movie and things like that. So I'm here to basically address where Avid is headed over the next several years. We have a new CEO, and he came from a big data world, right? You heard earlier talking about how the movie industry and the production industry is really turning into another data-driven industry. And so that's where his expertise, our expertise in this space for the last 25 years really comes together, and going forward is going to have a nice path for the entire industry. And as a joke, working on the technical and sales side for so long, it was always, standards are a great thing. That's why everybody has their own. And I think you've seen that today at a very detailed level, that there's a lot of work that goes into producing the best tools for acquisition and delivery. So specifically to, it's not the same industry that it was, right? So there's a lot of changes that are being driven around particular pain points, right? Everybody nowadays, at some degree, is on the same level as the big studios because you have the high-quality acquisition gear, you have high-quality content creation tools, visual effects tools that you, with your laptop or your desktop sitting at your home, can create some pretty compelling content. And so, in one sense, there's a lot of pressure on the big studios to come up with that next big hit and that big drive. But what they have in the distribution end, the independent film producer may not have access to that, right? So that's one thing that's driving a lot of this change. For the independent film producer, how do you monetize that really great piece of work that you put your heart and soul into? How do you get out there for the world to be able to see that? And automating the workflow for everybody is key as well. Consumerization of content. It used to be, growing up, we had 4 TV stations, and if you turn the foil just right, we got the Red Wings games out of Detroit on another UHF channel. It's different. I have any multitude of devices. My television isn't just a television anymore. I can stream content to it from any number of places. That's put a lot of pressure, and it's on one end, it's helped the lower end, help get some content out. It's also helped monetize and bring more eyeballs to multiple screens of legacy content. Good example, my kids on Netflix just found out what Knight Rider was. So we have a Knight Rider watch night once a week where we get caught up on all the old episodes, and they don't care that it's a really bad display inside the car. They just like the talking car. So, but that's kids for you. And at the far end, you know, there's relentless pressure for operational efficiency, right? How do we streamline the entire process? You know, a lot of the corporations, they're driven by the dollar, right? What's the best way to get the most value out of that particular piece of content that has been created? So here's where we get into some of the eye charts, and I apologize. But the traditional value chain is pretty simple, right? We have an idea, we create the idea, we put it down on a media, we put it all together final, and then we get it out to a distribution channel, right? And so you can read this. I don't need to go line by line, but that's pretty much how it used to be. Well, today it's being redefined by all the new technology that's out there, right? So you have a media asset, and it flows back and forth between pre-production all the way to consumption, right? But because of what we do, Avid has been known from the beginning of managing metadata from our collaborative work groups all the way into Media Composer and Pro Tools. We collect a lot of that metadata that can be used going forward. But if you look at it overall, any organization can understand how their media is being consumed, how it's being put together, all the other additional indexing that can go into that just makes a more powerful data set for somebody to continue to build the right content, create the right content, and then distribute it in a manner that best fits their customer base. So you have the smart media creation and collaboration, and then all the way out to the personalized delivery experience. And so what we're trying to do is, you may have heard at NAB and then at IBC we talked about Avid Everywhere. This is really the way for, or the fight we're leading to get your content out to the masses, because somebody out there really likes what you're doing, and they want to be able to see it, and they want to be able to see more of it. And so that's what we're trying to do. I think that we're uniquely positioned in the market to help lead this charge. We already have hundreds of relationships with the camera manufacturers and storage manufacturers and delivery systems such as Disney and Fox and all the other places along there that handle that. But it's our vision to where anybody with an idea would be able to go out, create a piece of content, and then make it available to the world in any way that they want to consume it. And so now your audience just got a lot larger. And that's what we want to do today and going forward, is to help make it much easier going forward. So if you look at Avid Everywhere, there's a lot of different components that have to go into it, right? And so a lot of this stuff is already encompassed in the Avid platform itself, from our storage, our asset management, and our creative tools as well. So you make it and you distribute it so you can monetize it. But beyond that, how do we get people to access that content, right? There's a multitude of ways. What's the best way to edit and mix that content? And then always, before that process, how do we ingest it? How do we get it into where we can start the process of it? And then what sort of rich metadata can we add to it so we know what we're using, how we're using it, so forth. And then how do we store it? We're working on some very cool technology that'll allow a very efficient way to handle and be able to distribute it within your organization as well as going out. Now on the ends, we've got a private marketplace and a public marketplace, and what that really means is you take a big company like Disney, for example, where they own a lot of different properties, and a piece of content that is created in one may be repurposed somewhere else within that organization. ABC, ESPN, good examples of how one piece of content tagged appropriately has a fit in other areas of that organization. So that makes things very efficient. I can find it, I can search it, and I can implement it within my piece of content very easily because it's all within keeping it in the family, if you will. Public marketplace is moving it out. Let's say you're part of the Avid network. You've come up with this 20-minute film that's outstanding, and you want to get it out to the world. As a part of this, people that are connected in with Avid as well would be able to pick that up. So let's say Disney likes what you saw or likes what you created, and they want to be able to pull that into some of their programming. Now the tools are in place for you to be able to not only get it out for them to see it, but the rights management and all the monetization process can happen on the backside. It's a very ambitious goal, but most of the tools that we have are in place for that. So if you look at Avid Everywhere from a very low level, you can see that we've got most of those components covered, right? Our ISO storage, our interplay system does the metadata. You can ingest it any number of ways, file-based through our any third-party system like AJA or our Nitrous. The creative tools over here with Media Composer. Sphere is our kind of our remote-based editing system. So if you're connected with your home base, if you will, if you're doing a shoot on location, plug in your Media Composer. You can upload all your dailies on proxy format, then to high res, and it basically speeds up that entire workflow process as you send stuff back in from the field. So you look up at the top, Media Composer, Pro Tools, third-party clients. You'll see Apple and Adobe down there as well. We've had a very good relationship with Adobe for years and years, especially on the After Effects and Photoshop. Going forward, Adobe's going to have a very nice place within the Avid infrastructure. Apple as well. We can run the Final Cut 7 workspaces very well. That's kind of a different chip, but we have made our base platform media asset management technology available to them if they want to continue to develop that. And then up at the top, you have basically how do people access it. If you're within the in-production environment, we have what we call Interplay Central, which allows browser-based. So now I can have any laptop, an iOS device, Android unit, and I can actually do cut lists. I can do review and approvals off of that, and then that could actually grow out from there to now my customers have access to my content as well, provided they pay the fees and subscribe to what I'm doing. So that's kind of a low-level look at how our products today fit very nicely into this long-term vision of making your content available to the world. So the two pieces that really we need to focus on now are the public marketplace and the private marketplace. One of the things also that if you were able to make it to NAB or paid attention to the press clippings, we've become a lot more open. One of our notorious thoughts from the past was we're a very closed system. We've changed that up quite a bit in terms of who we work with, and I think AMA is a great example to where any camera manufacturer that wants to create their specific standard within our application, they can write to that, and everything comes in and works and streamlines the process there. So why do we think we're positioned to lead in this market? Well, we're proven and trusted. We've been around longer than anybody in the industry. We've come a long way. We've made a lot of good moves. We've made a few mistakes along the way. I think we've learned from those. And going forward, we've got a solid media platform based on the ISO storage and our interplay asset management. And really the fourth slide down says a lot. We're made by and for creative media professionals. So most of the people, if I was going to bring a demo artist to this next year, which I think I will, he's a guy that spent years and years cutting for the Discovery Channel and making the feature films and doing all that. So you're not going to talk to a dumb sales guy like me that likes a lot of sports content. you're going to talk to somebody that actually sat down and cut, that episode of that reality show that you like so much, or actually cut on that movie. We continue to drive technology innovation into the marketplace, and we have the best clients in the world, right? You saw some of them on that video that I played earlier, and we're just very proud of the relationship we have with the people that use our technology. So what we want to do is we want to create raving fans throughout the world. And so one of the things that we've rolled out at IBC is we're going to create the Avid Customer Association. And that's going to basically be a community of you all that help guide our product path going forward. And so the first event that we're going to have is out at NAB, actually right before NAB next year in April. And what we're going to do is we're going to take your feedback and roll it into the products. Because it's what you guys want. It's not us dictating to you all. We're not going to try to jam any certain way of doing things down your throat. And so we're going to have events. We're going to have user groups. Our user groups are going to be segmented into appropriate silos, if you will. So we're going to have a Pro Tools and audio, the venue stuff that we do, as well as the media editing and the asset management platforms, so on and so forth. So we're very excited about this. This is something new, and you're going to start to see more things like this come out of Avid going forward. So really, we've talked about a lot of stuff in a very short time. It's very ambitious, but I think that based on where we've come from and our length of time in the industry, we're very well positioned to lead this going forward and making things a lot easier for you all, so you can concentrate on what's most important, and that's creating that content that keeps us wanting to come back for more. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you, Fred. Very good. Questions from the audience?
How many out here are students? Okay. How many of you are aware of our student promotion? $295 gets you a full working copy of Media Composer, and you get 4 years of free software updates with that. So even if you like another platform, I would recommend that you all get to know Avid. All those Academy Awards that were won last year were cut on Avid systems. That's not to brag, it's the truth of the matter. We've got the good relationships not only in broadcast but in Hollywood. Get to know it. Get to know everything, because it's just a tool. At the end of the day, Media Composer, Final Cut, Premiere, they're tools. And the better you know how to use all of them, the better off you will be going forward when you want to go work for somebody at a major studio or a broadcaster.
There was one word that you said here in all your slides that I would contend would definitely have to be one of our quarterly events next year. It's a word that is becoming extremely important. It's metadata. Mm-hmm. And metadata is becoming a real important part of how you keep track of all this digital madness. Okay, think of it as all the notes that you can take along the way and store for free along the ride, mostly for free. How is Avid being, what is Avid doing specifically to be able to be engaged with the addition of metadata, the handling of metadata, because it's sort of a new field. I don't know a lot about it. I just know how important it is, and everybody tells me it's important, so I assume it's important. And sure. What is Avid doing for metadata?
Right. Well, since the beginning, Avid has really focused as that a key component to any content that's created. And that goes, from at the very base level within Media Composer. Hey, you've already used that shot, and here it is in the timeline. Right? That's one important way of doing it. But going forward, it's, hey, this shot is so popular that Disney picked it up. It's in all the ESPN highlights, or Nickelodeon really likes this one shot. And so now it's just beyond this one particular piece of media that I've created. I've used it 16 times. Maybe I need to get a new shot. So now I need to go out and get some new content to put in there. Or I'm leaving a lot of money on the table because these particular shots are so popular, they're timeless in a sense. And so it's not only within, like metadata, we collect almost every piece of data from file-based cameras nowadays. So what that allows us to do is when we have all that, Media Composer 7 is importing LUTs now from different cameras. So if you want a certain look, you shot it in one camera, but you want it to make it look like that red that Ted talked about earlier, you can just import the LUT, right? And you're going to be able to get there farther faster. And those are the kind of tools that Avid's working on to make it easier for you all so you can focus on the storytelling.
How about like a metadata search engine? Is that something that's available now?
Yes. So within our interplay system, so let's just back it up to Media Composer. The more metadata that you bring in, you can find it in Media Composer, right? As the organization grows, it's very hard to go through each individual project and clip and find what you're looking for. So with an interplay, I have a universal search tool basically that allows me to say, hey, I need that shot of that guy doing that thing, and if it's tagged appropriately, you'll be able to find that very quickly, and whether it's in an archive system on an LTO tape, or it's sitting in a proxy file on your ISA somewhere, or it's wherever you have it stored, you're able to get to that much quicker. And so vision tracking, pretty much anything you could imagine when you get to the interplay level, we're tracking that and maintaining that data going forward. So it's critical on any number of levels.
Yeah, and my exposure to metadata was real limited. Initially, it was whatever came in with the file. In other words, the format, the frame rate, the resolution, the color space, the bit depth, all of these things. And what we found was that different NLEs and different MAMs were actually writing erroneous metadata into the file, in some cases incorrect metadata where they were reporting the wrong field order and those types of things. Last question, so along metadata, is there a tool within MC7, and I honestly don't know this, is there a tool within it that allows metadata to be corrected if it's come in incorrect? In other words, if it's reported that a clip is upper field first when actually it's lower field first, do you have the capacity to get in with the Avid tool and manipulate and correct the metadata?
Yes. Short answer is yes.
Great. I mean, that's going to be real important. I mean, trust me when I tell you, the main reason for all this metadata discussion, think about it, is that if you're shooting digital now, you can shoot hours and hours and hours of content to get your one perfect clip. It's not like film where it was like, okay, in the back of my mind, I hear the dollar signs going. Now you have because it's hours and hours, that all feels great, and you're all hyped up out on the set shooting it, and then you get back into post, and guess what? You got to start finding stuff. And metadata is the way you're going to find stuff, and there are a lot of companies, and this, again, can be an entire new quarterly event for what it's worth, that there are search engines that allow you to look into clips and find what word has been spoken, whether it was daily. Anyway, basically it's an organizational tool, and we're at the forefront of that, so it's going to be a little messy initially.
Because I teach at the university up the street, I just wanted to get details on that because, academic pricing can have little gotchas down the road. So you said for 4 years there's free software updates, and then what happens at the end of the 4 years?
At that time, they can actually do an upgrade to buy a full licensed working professional copy, which is really the same thing, but it's then legal for commercialization, commercial use.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen schemes where you have your academic version and you actually have to rebuy the software at the full price in order to receive or to be eligible for upgrades.
Basically, what it comes out to is you buy it at a lower price, then you end up making up the difference when you're ready to upgrade it to the full price, which is $9.99 now. So.
Okay, great. Okay, I think we're good. Anyone else?
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.